As we welcome you into the Fairways of Life show, Matt Adams sitting alongside of Mark Carnevale. He is the 1992 PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. That's now called the Arnold Palmer Award recipient. And Carney, I guess a great place to start is with a toast to you here with a Guinness. Have you enjoyed your trip?
Oh, it's been awesome, Matty. It always is. It's always great to be with you and the guys and the girls that come on this trip. It's just a fun group, very diverse, but we all get along, and we're here to play golf, to enjoy the experience, the cultural experience that you provide, as well as the friendship and social aspects. So it's always great. It's always great. Fortunately, only one bad day that we had.
Weather-wise.
Yeah. I mean, it rained all day. But, no, that's spectacular. But that's just part of it. And it's just always great to be here.
I'm going to circle back around to asking Carney more about the nuances of links golf in a second. But first, from here, you're on your way to the Scottish Open. You'll be working radio, I believe, for that. That would be a PGA Tour radio, which you can hear in the PGA Tour app. You can hear on PGAtour.com, and that works anywhere around the world, I can attest, as well as Sirius XM in North America if you have the satellite service. I'm hanging here in Ireland for another week, and then we'll be making my way to Royal Troon for the Open, and we'll be doing the world radio of the Open as well. Cannot wait. How excited are you to getting back to Scotland? And this is at least a couple years in a row you've been doing the Scottish Open.
It's actually 3 years in a row since it became a co-sanctioned event between the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour 3 years ago. This will be my third trip over. Obviously, this time Liz is with me, so we're going to experience a little bit of St. Andrews, and then we're going to head into Edinburgh and stay there and work the event. And obviously, I know the Servatis that own and operate the Renaissance Club, and they're excited about it. Every year, it's gotten a little bit better. It'd be interesting to see if they made maybe some adjustments after last year. I hadn't heard any, but there may have been some adjustments made. But they're looking for a great field. It's a great opportunity before the Open Championship. It's not the same type of golf. I mean, everybody thinks it's in Scotland, it's going to be links. It's not entirely links. There's a few holes. There's some flow of it in the links, but it's really a beautiful property and a great golf course. But very much looking forward to that. Yeah,
at least two, in fairness. It allows players to get acclimated to weather, get acclimated definitely to time, because it's a 5-hour time difference between the two. And, we cast our minds back to last year. That was one of the most exciting finishes on the PGA Tour all year.
Oh, absolutely. Rory McIlroy beating Bob McIntyre, and, of course, Bob McIntyre winning a month or so ago at the RBC Canadian. He'll be welcomed back with open arms by the Scottish fans without question. But Rory McIlroy winning that, just pretty spectacular, and that's what great golf is, and they certainly provided it.
No doubt about that. And then jumping ahead, if I may, to the Open, just to pick your mind on that, because we've got kind of this unique situation going on. We have an unquestioned leader at the top of, say, leaderboards or the game, if you please, in Scottie Scheffler with the way he's playing at tour events heading into the Open. You got Rory coming off a very disappointing finish at the Open. He will be playing at the Scottish Open to get warmed up. Maybe we'll see Rory bounce back into the form that we're familiar with. But I just thought I'd pick your mind in terms of, in general, storylines, players in form, what your thoughts are coming into this Open, coming into this major.
Well, it's, there's obviously that sort of cloud that's hanging over all of golf. I wouldn't just say professional golf, but I think it creates a cloud for all of golf because there's uncertainty. But when you look at the way Bryson has played in all the majors, and of course the win at the U.S. Open, you would think Bryson's going to be there. There'd be no reason for me to think he's not going to be competitive. And he loves the competitive side of it. And that sort of is what separates him, and I would say he and Brooks Koepka, from the players that have gone on to live and that have actually played in these major championships. Those are the two that stand out to me, that seem prepared, that seem ready. And I don't, we know that golf is a psychological and a mind game. Obviously, they're playing the right game. But it's going to be interesting. I think, we've now, this is, I think, it would be the second, I believe, Open Championship since everybody went to live, I believe. Cam Smith having won, and
he won at St. Andrews in 22, and he went immediately after.
Yeah, and he went. So, I mean, obviously there were some guys who said they were leaving and defected a little bit beforehand, but really, I think the last Open Championship in 22 would be the last time that we were kind of in a free market, so to speak.
Yeah, at least you had Cam, you still had John Rahm, et cetera.
And all those guys were playing, but and certainly the landscape of the major championships has changed a little bit. The landscape in golf in general has changed a little bit. I think it's going to be very interesting as to, we hear talk all the time of, we're moving towards resolving something, but as a player and a member, I'm not hearing anything. So I don't know, but I think like all the other major championships this year, they're going to put on a good show.
Yeah, I want to ask you. I said I was going to circle back around to playing links golf, but I want to ask it in the context of the Open first. People tend to think that there's some secret to playing the links golf. I still think it comes down to solid ball striking. It still comes down to imagination, and maybe you play the ball a little bit more on the ground. But when you have a really solid ball striker, let's go back to the likes of Tom Watson in his day. The solid ball striker is still going to perform well regardless of the venue, because you're playing against, yes, the elements and the winds, et cetera, but it's about getting the ball to the target.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we may have even had this conversation a year ago about Tom Watson. I had the fortune of playing a couple practice rounds with him before the Senior Open that I played at Carnoustie in 2010. And he said, I came over here and everybody said, Tom, you got to play the ball on the ground. You got to play the ball on the ground. And I tried to play the ball on the ground, and he said it didn't work. He said, so I started playing the ball in the air. Now you make some minor adjustments for shots here and there. He says, but my game was in the air. And that's what I stuck to, and obviously, five opens, sort of confirms that. But yeah, you've got to figure it out. You've got to figure out what works best for you. I think no matter how you play it, the imagination and the artistry has to be there. Whether you're hitting it up in the air, whether you're hitting the ground, you've got to be willing to hit some shots that may be a little uncomfortable, but that's how you learn to play the game. You learn to play the game by hitting those kind of bump and run shots or some kind of soft cut or whatever. And I think that's what the Open brings out. I think it brings back the players and the artistry that they create when they play the game.
That leads us to the perfect way to end the interview, talking about the links golf that we've played this week. Now, you've pretty much just touched on what it's all about, the patience, the humor, the artistry, the visualization that goes with playing these little bump and run shots and these high shots. But, when it's all said and done, we've had this opportunity through the southwest of Ireland, whether we're talking about the likes of Tralee or Ballybunion or Lahinch or Waterville, or here behind us, the vast Atlantic Ocean and the Old Head in southwest Ireland. It was more courses than just that. I'm just touching on some of the big ones and the one we're sitting at today. Man, it's a great way just to enjoy the game in different venues and on different courses and playing around dunes and the sea. It's inspiring to me. How about you?
I see it every week when I'm covering the PGA Tour, and I look at these players and I scratch my head at times wondering, what have you forgotten about? What are you missing? Granted, these are some of the best in the world, and this is not a judgment upon their ability, but something is missing in the game, and that sort of the desire and the love and the enthusiasm for the game that was created when they were just tots, and you just went out there and you hit shots. And I've said this to you, and I still think it's the case. Players of today are trying to play an imperfect game perfectly, and it's impossible. And I think that's what separates a Scotty Scheffler from a lot of the other players. He's not trying to do it that way. Yeah, you want to hit good shots, but it's not about being perfect. It's about being able to score, and I think that's what links golf, again, to me, brings back those memories of when I would sit there as a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I'd go out to the course, and my parents would say, we'll pick you up at 7 o'clock, and you'd be out there all day, and you'd be hitting shots all day long, and you're hitting how many different kinds of shots. That's what links golf does, and that's what when I translate to watching these guys, and I'm like, you've forgotten what created the passion in you and the ability to hit those different kind of shots. You should be able to hit them better now than you did when you were 6 years old, right? So I just love it. I mean, it's wonderful. People say you got to embrace it. Well, you should embrace golf and life in general. And it's about being with friends and experiencing it. But golf is what sort of brings us all together to be here. Yeah. And that's the power of the game of golf.
There's no doubt. It's the beauty of it too. And we've had the pleasure and the honor to be at some very, very beautiful places over the last few days with some fans of the show. So we thank everyone for that. We thank Swing Golf Ireland. SwingGolfIreland.com is their website. If you're interested in replicating our trip or one of your own, they supply everything, hotels. We have a coach driver and a beautiful van that's driving us around, and it's been an incredible experience. So I would encourage you to check that out. If you log on to Ireland.com/golf, you can see all the details on golf in this incredibly magical country. Thank you, Carney, for spending some time with us through the course of it. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, this is always fun. It's the fun of life and the fun of having great friends.